here. This is Alice and Melissa. I'm a retired professor of German and Global Studies at Sonoma State University. Allison was one of my students back there. And the project that we've been working on this year has to do with mutual credit, and it also has to do with the Food Action Plan that we all were introduced to, I believe it was last October. The subtitle here, Bridging the Gap Between Knowing and Acting, leads me to start things off with a little bit of background. What do we know about the way our money works? Well, for one thing, we know that it's really central to everything that we do. Another thing that large and growing numbers of forward thinkers are recognizing about our current dominant money system is that it's not working very well. As a matter of fact, it's not sustainable, and it is part of the capitalist mindset that people nowadays are more and more aware we've got to reform if we want to avoid cooking the planet, which we're hell-bent on doing as we speak. So that's what we know. The monetary system has got to be changed if we want to have a survivable planet for our children and grandchildren. Acting is a different thing. Even in progressive circles, very few people are involved in actively promoting the adoption and use of monetary systems that are sustainable, that are not extractive, that do not involve unsustainable compound interest, which is an exponential function. Exponential functions don't work on a finite planet. But very few people are actually doing these, involved in the effort to come up with viable alternatives to this unsustainable system that we're in. That's what the Go Local Buck is about. And by the way, I'm one of the founders of the Go Local Cooperative and one of the two designers of the Go Local Buck mutual credit currency. So that's what we want to get to, is people acting to devise and to employ a monetary system that will provide us with the kinds of things that currently we can't get from our existing monetary system. How many great plans, how many best practices can't proceed because the funds aren't there? It happens all the time. And we need to change that. All right, so mutual credit is, in my humble opinion, a major answer to this question. What is it? It's a reliable, transparent, interest-free method for providing additional liquidity to local economies, enough liquidity to finance the satisfaction of our needs. This liquidity is spent into existence rather than lent. Credits issued are always matched by debits in the issuer's account, so the system is transparent and it's always balanced perfectly. The most impressive example of mutual credit operations in the world so far is the VIO system in Switzerland. It stands for Wirtschaftsverein, which means economic circle. It was devised by 17 Zurich business people, small business owners in 1934, and has existed continuously ever since, and currently is doing turnover to the tune of over $2 billion per year using the Swiss franc, using the VIO franc next to the Swiss franc. Sonoma County's mutual credit system is the Go Local Buck, which, as I told you, I was one of the designers of. It's operated by the Sonoma County Go Local Cooperative. And so this is how we're putting monetary theory into action. Complementary economics is the name of the branch of economics that looks at all of this. Here's how we're putting it into action. We launched the Go Local Buck, or GLB, in 2010 as a credit rebate marketing currency. Limited function, but the idea was to get the Go Local Bucks into as many hands as possible, circulating as widely as possible in the shortest possible time. How to do that? You wanted to get the general public involved. So the way to get the general public involved is to have your member businesses issue to them a loyalty rebate. In Go Local Bucks, they create the Go Local Bucks in the form of a rebate that is loaded onto the swipe card, the Go Local rewards card that the customer holds then and uses the next time they come back to that business or the next time they go to any of the other member businesses that are participating. So here are some rather impressive statistics. In 2014, last year, cash transactions that were facilitated by the use of the Go Local rewards card amounted to $5.6 million. This is a Sonoma County project exclusively. Go Local Bucks issued as a percentage of those $5.6 million came to 144,100 local bucks. And those that were redeemed, in other words, that made the circuit back to the issuer, in other words, that people were using and realizing the value of, came to 134,400 local bucks, which is a really good figure. That means the money is not just being hoarded someplace, it's actually being used and reused and reused. So, yay, it's working. Program growth of over 300% vis-a-vis 2013. That's remarkable. It's growing. So, my professorial mind started thinking, if this is working as well as it appears to be in this limited loyalty rebate marketing sense, how can we expand it to be of value and of use in broader segments of the public economy? How can we build it out into the public benefit sphere? And I was inspired by learning about the Food Action Plan last October to think that, well, I saw various aspects of the plan that were going to require funding, and I knew it wasn't going to come to the stakeholders in that plan via the normal funding routes because money is scarce. So, started looking for ways in which we could enhance the Food Action Plan's budgets with the local bucks. And learned in the process, talking with Lisa Davenport, who works with Ag Innovations, one of the stakeholders in the Food Action Plan, that they have narrowed their focus. They no longer are just looking at trying to implement programs in these 4 different pillars that they identified, if you recall, in the Food Action Plan. They've narrowed it down to one primary focus, which is access to healthy food. What does that mean? Well, the question is, how do we most effectively enhance the production, distribution, and consumption of healthy food? And how do we finance it in times of shrinking public budgets? Allison and I decided to look at 2 aspects of this access question, namely the consumer, in particular the low to medium income consumer that simply can't afford to buy healthy, good food because it's more expensive than the crap that they sell at Walmart and so forth. So that's the one focus, the consumer, is how can we make it more possible for more people to afford healthy, organic, locally produced food. And secondly, from the producer point of view, how can we enhance the production of this food by making the whole farm enterprise more economically viable? And so the question was, how can we apply mutual credit to these 2 areas? And this, I'm not going to go through the whole circuit here for you. This is just one idea of how the county could get behind using the local bucks to help people, poor people, afford to buy more good food. And the issuance of the Go Local Buck would start with the Sonoma County Health Department. It would circulate through, let's see, we've got a little...
There's a
little right here? Yeah. Here we've got the recipient, Ms. Jones. She is a food stamp user, and via the Redwood Empire Food Bank, she gets the Go Local Bucks. I'm not going to go through all of the details because we don't have time, but it circulates back through the Redwood Empire Food Bank to, K-Tech, oopsie. There we go. It goes to K-Tech Automotive to do some maintenance on the food bank's vehicles, and the K-Tech Automotive sends it back to Sonoma County Health Department. The details are, to a certain extent, problematic. Can't get into them now, but that's the idea.
Visions of what's possible.
Vision of what's possible. So then the other question then was, how about on the producer's end? I'm going to let Allison tell you about the kinds of discussions that we've had with a broad range of people that are connected with farmers markets. And we came up with the final conclusion that the best strategy would be not to sort of delink it from the Go Local Buck per se, but to use the mutual credit system in market-specific ways where the farmers markets would issue their own tokens of value, and we'll call it market bucks, in a way that they're already doing using the EBT program, the food stamp program and the WIC program. And so we could, the farmers markets could issue their own market money in this same way, using these little wooden tokens or paper currency if they want to. So Allison will tell us a little bit more about that aspect of things.
Thank you. Time is short. I want to tell you why I'm here. And Allison and Lisa, and I know that my face is probably unfamiliar to some of you in the class, and for that I apologize. I was a member last year and Alan this year, and I just came in to celebrate the fact that our high school students are part of the program, because that was my project last year. When I came, I saw my former professor, Philip Beard, who was just great. I remember him. He would always ride into school on his motorcycle or his bicycle, and he was a German professor, but I was like, his little study, he had a motorcycle that he repaired. And he'd just come back from Nicaragua working on Silo Draco, which is community currency trade down in Nicaragua, and I was very inspired at the time. So here he is, still working with Go Local, still working on the same thread, and there is something there. And I, who had connected with Marco Evangelisti last year, really inspired by the talk about the economy. And as a full-time teacher, teaching mostly 8th grade through 12th grade history, and then 12th grade, I've got these 12th graders this year. What is it with one semester of school, the last year of school, focusing on economics? But to go through and teach history without connecting to economics the whole year. So my goal is to build up a curriculum for understanding economics, and what a better way to do it, and to be here, than to be inspired about what's happening really, and to bring that back to the classroom. And that's how I got involved. Also used to sell at the farmer's market and understand that people usually go what the farmers call the ATM syndrome. They pull out 20 from the ATM and come, and you have to make change. They just want a bunch of carrots, and that's all you see. That money, right? And I also knew that the farmer's market was offering their own money to give rewards to seniors who come in, right? $2 if you're a senior, you have that to spend, and then you're likely to spend something else. And also for CalFresh, 100% of what people would get for their CalFresh dollars, $10, let's say, the market turns that into 20, and then they can spend it all in the market. So that's bringing in more money. So we talked about access. I was up there a minute ago. It's not just access for low-income people about fresh, healthy food, but that fresh, healthy food won't be there if the farmer's not making enough money to be able to support their dream of being a farmer. So what if we create this reward system but have it really tangible and understandable to somebody who goes to the farmer's market with that ATM 20? And that's turned into a 20% rebate at the moment, 10, 20%, whatever it is. Then they have $24 that they can spend right now, and that's open to anybody who goes. Yeah? So does that make sense? So not only does the consumer reap the benefit of having more extra dollars to spend, but the whole farmer's market is benefiting more at being ensured that the money is going to be spent. Okay, so it's really common to go home with change and not just throw down your grocery shopping at the farmer's market. So we've been working with Paula about making this happen, and it's just a great way to get the message of mutual credit in an understandable, tangible way, and then grow from there until we reach our critical mass. And our program has been about meeting with some amazing people and talking about what the potential is for mutual credit to grow in this county. It's exciting.
Thank you, Allison. That's very helpful. Beyond the question of other farmers' market possibilities or potential for involvement of the local bucks. I'm not going to get into the details, but there's this farmer incubator project in Roanoke Park that Barry Garrett, Go Local, is collaborating on, and that Rob Eiler, friend and colleague of mine from Sonoma State, wrote the business plan for. They're both very interested in using the local bus as a way to pay farm workers and a way to for people to buy the produce of this incubator project. Secondly, recently I've been in close contact with Larry Davis, an old friend who lives in Sonoma, the town of Sonoma, and they're developing the Maxwell Park, which is this big area that they've got, and they want to develop it in part in ways sort of mirroring the Bayer Farm project in Santa Rosa that we're well acquainted with, only they've got a lot more land at their disposal, like 43 acres. And so Larry wants to develop this community farm garden project that will promote a strong feeling of community involvement on the part of the largely Latino folks that live in the community of El Verano, right next door to Sonoma. So that's going now. And then, I'm sorry?
And then use mutual credit to be able to exchange.
And use mutual credit to exchange value. So beyond food projects, what other things? Well, other ways in which local Budgets could be enhanced by the use of the local bucks. Rob Eiler, whom we talked with a couple of weeks ago at Sonoma State, who was a very well-known prognosticator for Sonoma County Economic Health, is very in favor of the idea of using the local bucks as a supplementary way to help finance road projects. We all know how bad our roads are, and it doesn't matter if you drive a Ferrari or an old VW bus, you don't like potholes. Well, so this should be a kind of a no-brainer for the application of the mutual credit principle. We recently, just a few days ago, had a nice talk with Danielle O'Leary, who is the Economic Development Manager for the City of Santa Rosa, and brainstorming ways in which Santa Rosa could get into the mutual credit business. Well, what about the costs connected with annexing the area of Roseland, where I live, by the way? Could the county and the city get together on using those local bucks to supplement the scarce U.S. dollars that are available for that project? And city parking fees could theoretically be financed also with go local bucks. Most exciting, just yesterday, I met Jeff Cyphers at the Sustainable Enterprise Conference. You know, he's the head of Sonoma Clean Power. And I went up to him after his presentation and I said, "I'm Philip Beard." He said, "Philip Beard? Wait, you taught me German back in the 1980s. Whoa, okay. Sorry, I don't remember it, but and he was happy to reconnect with me. Well, why was I talking to him? Because I wanted to just broach the possibility with him of making it possible for people to pay for part of their electric bill with the local bucks. He is very interested. He wants me to submit a proposal. This is really good news. Those three conversations, by the way, were the bright points for me in this whole project duration. Those are three very influential people who are behind the idea, supportive of it in every way. Rob Eiler says, "Don't worry, you can use my name. I will vouch for the fact that this is a sustainable and a valid economic program." This is really good news. All right, so what can you guys do? Well, use your Go Local rewards card. Don't have one yet? Guess what I have here? Any of you who don't yet have one, and I've got 25, so I hope there's not more than 25 of you that don't have, but you can get one from me today. I will register it as soon as I go home. You can start using your Go Local rewards card and participate in this process. Urge local merchants to use the Go Local Buck program. Urge elected officials to add mutual credit to their arsenal of tools for coping with budget shortfalls. And learn more. A couple of really nice things that I've participated in writing. One is Occupy Money by Margaret Kennedy, a German complementary economist, and I translated her book into English. And it's a short thing, it's available for maybe $15 from Copperfields. And then I wrote an essay myself called Cooperative Money, and it's on the local website or the Edmodo site that Gwen has been coordinating. So, okay, what's the long-term point of all of this? I wanted to close with a few salient quotes from forward thinkers in this whole area of providing for a sustainable future. First, from Richard Heinberg, whom we heard from just a month or so ago. "It is essential that we deal with the immediately looming monetary financial crisis to set ourselves on course for a sustainable future. If we don't have sustainable money, we can't do it." Barbara Kingsolver just read her book called Animal Vegetable Miracle. And one of the things she says is, if we don't turn this thing around, we're guilty of child abuse. Why? Because if we don't solve these problems, they're going to get worse and worse over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and our kids won't be able to. Then Marco Evangelisti, who was on the same program as Richard Heinberg, talking to us a couple months ago, if we're serious about reforming capitalism, we need to break out of our debt money trance. And finally, I love this one from the founder of the immensely successful worker-owned co-ops in Mondragon in Spain, Father Arizmendi Arrieta. "The world is given to us not to contemplate, but to transform." So,
I just wanted to say too. We are moving. I love this food system movement that has grown in popularity that I was once a part of, and I just feel so strongly about we're in a monoculture of money right now, and we need to create a permaculture system and diversify. And imagine having this go local party pay for your party. Imagine the possibility, imagine having that go local party pay for your energy bills. It is a sustainable energy company that's going to rise, right? And so it's phenomenal an opportunity that we have, and this is the diversity that we can create.
And so these are some thoughts about how we can move forward, convene a neutral credit hub that would avail itself of the inspiration and the influential positions of various people whose names, these are just sort of off the top of my head names, and ultimately moving on to include elected officials like Mr. McKenzie here and other local luminaries. And finally, we've been starting outreach to Transition Sebastopol, Slow, Roots of Change, and Slow Money.
We didn't bother putting all of your names up there.
And I want to leave you with this assessment that our friend Terry Taylor, Genevieve's father, wrote to me when he reviewed my original project proposal. In my opinion, you are addressing a huge issue regarding how humans commerce with each other and the shortfall of capitalism in our monetary system in that exchange. I think for a vision of this size, it will take a lot of small steps, patience, and persistence to course correct the system. Viewing your Institute project as a smaller but solid first step may be to your advantage. Good luck with this, and thank you for working on it. It's come true in spades. We haven't made as much progress in terms of actual implementation as I would have most liked, but we've had a lot of powerful conversations, and we've got people on board that are going to be very influential in
We've
the
got a
future.
grant out there to pilot the program at the Farmers Market Festival. That hopefully is possible.
Thank you. We're after lunchtime.